Have you ever wondered why the same bugs keep coming back to your garden no matter how many times you spray, as if they somehow know you'll never actually stop them? Welcome back to Martha's Backyard Farm, and thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. If this is your first time here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because we dig deep into traditional growing wisdom every single week. Now let me tell you something that might make you a little uncomfortable. There is a $9 billion industry in this country that depends entirely on you never learning what I am about to share. Every spring, roughly 80% of American households walk into a garden center and buy bottles of chemicals, spray their vegetables, watch the pests come back, and spray again. But 300 miles west of Manhattan, in the farmlands of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, there is a community of over 44,000 people who have grown food for more than 3 centuries without buying a single bottle of synthetic pesticide. I stood in one of those gardens myself, staring at a row of pepper plants without a single aphid in sight. And today I am going to show you exactly why, including one $20 tool almost nobody in this country has ever heard of. Now, before I hand you that $20 tool, I need to walk you through something that changes the way you will look at every single leaf in your garden for the rest of your life. Because none of this works without it. Agricultural researchers describe what they call the plant health pyramid, and it has 4 levels. And once you understand these 4 levels, pest control stops being a mystery and starts being a science you can actually apply in your own backyard. At level 1, a plant is simply photosynthesizing completely. Give it enough magnesium, iron, manganese, nitrogen, and phosphorus, and it produces a higher volume of quality sugars, and it becomes naturally resistant to the fungal pathogens living in your soil. That is the foundation. At level 2, something remarkable happens. A healthy plant takes every form of nitrogen it absorbs and rapidly converts it into complete proteins. And here is why that single fact should change how you think about every bug you have ever fought in your garden. Soft-bodied insects like aphids and young caterpillars cannot digest complete proteins. Their digestive systems are too simple. They can only feed on the loose, unconverted nitrogen still floating around in weak, imbalanced plants. So when your plant is healthy enough to lock that nitrogen up into protein almost immediately, the pest lands, it tries to feed, it gets nothing it can use, and it leaves hungry. You have not killed a single insect, and you did not need to. Researchers testing this in controlled conditions found something striking. When plants were badly out of mineral balance, insect survival rates climbed as high as 90%. But as those same plants moved toward proper mineral balance, survival rates for the very same insects dropped down to somewhere between 30 and 40%. That is not folklore. That is measured, replicated science. And there is a third level most gardeners never even hear about. Once your soil biology is thriving, plants develop a thicker, waxy protective layer on their leaves, and that layer physically blocks the enzymes that fungal and bacterial diseases use to break into the plant in the first place. So the same practice that starves off your aphids is also shielding your tomatoes from powdery mildew and blight. Here is how you actually build this, starting this season. Every spring, before a single transplant goes into the ground, spread 2 to 3 inches of well-aged compost across your beds and work it into the top 4 to 6 inches of soil. If you can get compost blended with aged horse or cow manure, even better, because that combination feeds an incredibly diverse population of soil microbes. This is not a one-time fix. It is a practice you repeat every year. And after 2 or 3 seasons, your plants will be thicker stemmed, darker green, and far quicker to bounce back from any pest pressure that does show up. Now, once your soil is doing its job, we move to the second layer of defense, and this one happens above ground. Most garden pests do not find your vegetables by sight. They find them by smell. Aphids, cabbage moths, and cucumber beetles are all following chemical signals, drifting off their favorite host plants. And when you surround those plants with strong scented companions, you create what researchers call olfactory confusion, where the pest simply cannot locate its target through all the competing signals in the air. Now, I need to correct something you have probably heard 100 times, because getting this wrong wastes a whole season. French marigolds are wonderful, and their roots do release a compound that suppresses root knot nematodes underground. But field trials at major agricultural universities found no meaningful difference in aphid or whitefly populations when marigolds were planted near leafy crops. They protect your roots. They do almost nothing for your leaves. What actually works up top is sweet alyssum. University research identified it as the single most effective flower for drawing in hoverflies, whose larvae hunt aphids, and organic lettuce beds bordered with alyssum saw aphid populations drop between 50 and 70%. And if you are growing cabbage or broccoli, plant calendula, the pot marigold, right alongside them. In field studies, cabbage grown alone saw aphid counts explode past 400 per plant, while cabbage interplanted with calendula peaked at just 50, with a full fifth of those plants staying completely aphid-free all season. For your tomatoes, tuck a basil plant in every 3 to 4 feet. For your brassicas, run a line of dill or cilantro every 12 to 14 inches and let a few of them flower, because that bloom becomes a magnet for the very predatory wasps that hunt your caterpillars for you. Now, let me introduce you to a workforce that is already living in your yard right now, completely free of charge, and most gardeners have no idea how powerful they really are. A single ladybug larva, over the course of its life, can eat as many as 500 aphids. Let that number sink in for a second. 500. And a lacewing larva, the one folks call an aphid lion, can go through 200 to 300 aphids in a single week. These two insects alone are more effective than anything sitting on a shelf at your garden center, and they never send you a bill. But here is a mistake I made myself years ago, and I want to save you from it. I bought a container of ladybugs, released them one evening, and by morning every single one was gone. It felt like I had wasted my money. What I did not understand at the time is that purchased ladybugs are wired to disperse. They go looking for a better home the moment they are released, while lacewings are far more likely to settle in and establish a lasting population, but only if the right flowering habitat is already waiting for them. So plant the habitat first, then invite the guests, not the other way around. Here is how you build that habitat. Set aside a strip of your garden, even just 2 feet wide along one border, and plant it densely with flowers. These predators actually need for nectar and pollen. Put sweet alyssum along the front edge, since it stays low and blooms nearly all season long. Behind it, alternate yarrow and dill, spaced about 10 to 12 inches apart. And if you have the room, tuck fennel in at the back. Within a few weeks of those first blooms opening, that little strip will be humming with hoverflies, lacewings, and ladybugs. And once they establish, they will patrol your entire garden, not just that one corner. If you can dedicate even 20% of your growing space to this kind of habitat, you are essentially building a self-sustaining pest control system that runs itself, season after season, with no spraying required. Now, while your soil and your insect army are handling most of the work above ground, there is still one vulnerable moment every single transplant goes through, and it happens in the dark. Cutworms are caterpillars that feed at night, and they chew clean through the stems of young seedlings right at the soil line, so you go to bed with a healthy plant and wake up to find it toppled over with no warning at all. The fix for this costs you nothing. Save your toilet paper rolls, or cut strips from an old cereal box, and slide one around the base of each transplant. Push it about an inch down into the soil, and let it rise roughly 2 inches above the surface. That simple cardboard barrier physically stops the cutworm from ever reaching the stem, and by the time the cardboard breaks down naturally over the following weeks, your plant's stem will already be firm enough that cutworms can no longer bite through it. But if you already suspect cutworms are hiding in the soil right around your seedlings, add one more layer of protection. Push 2 toothpicks straight down into the ground, one on each side of the stem, right up against it. That small barrier keeps the cutworm from being able to wrap itself around the base to start chewing, and, between the collar and the toothpicks, you have shut the door on one of the most heartbreaking losses a home gardener can face. Now, since you have stayed with me this long, it is time for that $20 tool I promised you at the very beginning, the one almost nobody outside of professional growers has ever heard of. It is called a Brix refractometer, and it looks like a small telescope, but what it actually does is measure the concentration of sugars and dissolved nutrients inside your plant's own sap. Here is how simple it is to use. You take a leaf, squeeze out a couple of drops of sap onto the small glass prism, close the cover, and hold it up toward the light. Looking through the eyepiece, you will see a line where light meets shadow, and wherever that line crosses the printed scale, that number is your Brix reading. Now here is why this matters so much for everything we have already talked about today. A plant reading 12% or higher on that scale is a plant that has genuinely built the kind of internal chemistry that makes it far less appealing and far less digestible to pests. As a general guide, you are aiming for somewhere around 12 to 14% on tomatoes and 10 to 12% on lettuce and cucumbers. But the real power move is this. Test a plant, apply a foliar feed, wait 30 to 60 minutes, then test it again. If that number climbs, your plant welcomed what you gave it, and it is worth spraying across the whole bed. If the number holds flat or drops, that plant is telling you, politely, that it did not want that feeding today. You can even test the weeds growing nearby. If their Brix reading comes in lower than your vegetables, relax. Your crop already has the upper hand. But if the weeds are reading higher, that is your early warning to step in, because right now, nature is quietly betting against you. So let's bring all of this together, because none of what we covered today works as a single trick, but it works as one connected system. It starts underground, with compost building a soil biology rich enough to carry your plants through all 4 levels of that health pyramid. It continues above ground, with the right flowers, not just any flowers, planted in the right places to confuse the pests that hunt by scent. It grows into an army of ladybugs and lacewings you never have to pay or feed, as long as you give them a home first. It protects your most vulnerable seedlings with nothing more than a cardboard collar and a couple of toothpicks. And it lets you check your own work, season after season, with a simple refractometer that tells you the truth about what is really happening inside your plants. There is a word that runs through everything the Amish do in their gardens, a German word, Gelassenheit, and it does not translate perfectly into English, but the closest meaning is something like yielding to the natural order, letting go of the need to control every single outcome, and trusting that the balance was already built into this system long before either of us showed up with a spray bottle in hand. You do not have to do all 5 of these things by tomorrow morning. Just pick one. Maybe it's the compost this weekend. Maybe it's a strip of sweet alyssum along your fence line. Maybe it's finally ordering that little refractometer. Start there and let the rest follow. If today changed the way you look at your garden, I would love to hear about it. So leave a comment and tell me which one of these you are trying first. And if you want more of this kind of traditional, science-backed growing wisdom, hit that like button, share this with a fellow gardener, and subscribe to Martha's Backyard Farm. I will see you in the next one.